Just when America has reached a breaking point with division, visionary influencer Danni Benson's I'm Proud of You Sis bro movement taps into the pulse and heartbeat of a culture radically torn. But this loving mom's voice of reason and calm has received national recognition.
How do you balance having your children and always traveling with the Yankee organization?
When I became a dad, I said that I would always love like a mother.
I feel like I have to try certain things or act a different way because I know some people or some kids.
So join Danni Benson as she celebrates her special guests on her show and highlights their gifts and contributions to our world.
Hi, everyone. Hi, my name is Danni Benson of I'm Proud of You Sis. But today we're featuring I'm Proud of You Bro. I'm so excited about this guest who's coming on my show. We got to give him his cigars. He is doing so much for the community. So I wanted him to come on the show. I'm proud of you, bro. I'm proud of you, bro. So I could give him his cigars. Went to a couple of the meetings that he's had and felt so empowered with him and his team. So I wanted him to come to my show, introduce himself, and let me know what he is doing on Long Island and everywhere nationwide. So I have Marvin Amazan on. He is a CEO and founder of Amazing Strategies. And also he is a project manager of Urban League of Long Island, Urban League Long Island, State of Black Long Island. So basically, I wanted him to come on the show because of the Supreme Court decision that said that you can no longer base your race for college admissions. And it's funny because they said it was based on merit, which I understand, but also there's legacy admissions. So does that get thrown out the door too? Because it's not based on merit, it's based on if the parent went to school or not. And if the parent went to school, does it mean that the kid might be a genius just like the parent or as talented as a parent, or should it still be based on merit? So it was weird because they only specifically said race, which I thought that was kind of weird because they didn't say gender, they didn't say religion, they didn't say other things. It's just based it on race. So I wanted Mr. Amazan to come on the show and just kind of break it down to me and how this affects the people in our community. So, hey, Marvin Amazan, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show. So when I first heard about the Supreme Court decision, people don't understand this. I used to work for Ralph Lauren. I used to be a publicist for Ralph Lauren a while ago, and I always felt like I was a token Black girl because in our department, I was the only minority in that department, and it was advertising, sales, marketing, and publicity, which I was fine with it because I was intelligent. I was supposed to be there. It wasn't like they hired me because I was, Black or African American. I went to NYU, graduated in 3 years, so I deserved to be there. But I kind of understand why we have so much put into diversity, because what people don't know, they don't know, right? If they're not in my communities, how would they know where to find me to hire me, right? So I thought with college admissions, I thought it helped to bring diversity into the college because you get to think outside the box. And sometimes if you're a homogeneous, you kind of tend to think the same way, walk the same way, act the same way, have the same experiences. So when you get, like, I call it the crayon box, right? If you get different colors in there, it makes a picture so much more grand instead of just having like a white color or a black color. So if we like the Crayola box and we like all the different colors to make this beautiful art, stand out, I don't understand why is it so hard for us to understand that why diversity matters. So just break it down to us, please.
I mean, I think you did a phenomenal way of breaking down. I actually like that the color box analogy that you had right there, because I mean it's exactly that, right? If we have the same people in the same rooms having the same conversation, then we don't really get much done, right? Or the same things get done for the same kind of people. And as we look, we typically see that things could continue to go this way for some people, and they stay either stagnant or decrease for other people. And in the world that we're living, it just doesn't make sense, right? As the world becomes more diverse, it's something that's happening. We have to have more representation in these different areas. And I mean, I guess that's a little bit of the fear, because that means that, the conference rooms are not going to look the same, or the school systems don't look the same. So there is a big attack right now on DEI. That's like the pop word in some
Your
places,
diversity, equity,
equity
inclusive,
and inclusion. Yep. So
inclusion.
that's like, you can't say that in some circles, right? You gotta
Well, did
use
you hear what
other
DeSantis
keywords.
did today? DeSantis told Disney World they, as of today, got rid of the DEI, diversity, equity, inclusive, department.
Programs and it's happened like this all over. And then when we talk about, but I'm still a little hopeful though, because when we talk about the Supreme Court decision, it's something that a certain fraction of the country has been plotting on for a while. And now that they had the opportunity, they went ahead and did it. I'm still hopeful, right? Because although this decision did happen, it's not life ending, right? We still have this is only within the school systems. When we look at the businesses and the different other places where affirmative action has held up, I believe it's going to stay straight and stay right.
Do
These
you really think it's
elders,
gonna stay though? Do you really
I, I,
think it's gonna
I believe
stay?
so.
Or aren't they gonna
It's going
use
to be
this
harder.
as to get rid
As
of, like, well, we can't use race
so
um
yes,
for
so I believe
school,
that
so why would we race in corporate America?
this sets the precedent for that. But what I'm hopeful is that because we see how this can happen, now we're even more prepared. Whether it's in the streets, whether it's in the schools, whether it's in the court systems, that we're doing exactly what we need to do to make sure that this another decision like this can't happen. And it shows. One of my friends recently showed me like a lawsuit that somebody sent out to like the Fortune 100 companies, pretty much stating this court case in that report, right? So they are coming out. This is crazy right people that are looking to pretty much use this as a precedent. But yes, it will happen. It's going to happen all over the country for the most part. But it's up to really us, like advocates, us as lawyers, us as elected officials, to really watch out and make sure that we're doing our part. And if something like this is happening, we're stopping it before it gets through the door.
Do people not understand, if this was a perfect world, of course we would not have affirmative action? Do people not understand that their biases based on their experiences and non-experience? Because sometimes cultures only clash when they go to work. When they go back home, it's like homogeneous depending on where they live. So do they understand why it is? Like, if you have some prejudices or opinions about another race, that might make you not want to hire the person, not even knowing the person, but just based on the color of their skin. Because we're African American, I'm Black. There's no way I can whitewash this. There's no way I can hide who I am. Other cultures can kind of change their last name and they look white, but they could be, sometimes Spanish, sometimes Cuban, sometimes, mixed race. But when you're Black, it's hard to hide that you're Black, except with your name sometimes. Because sometimes I feel like with your name, they sometimes have prejudice against that too. Like if they see like a
Absolutely.
LaQuisha, no disrespect, guys.
Yep.
I'm not
No, I,
giving no
I got you.
disrespect. But if they see a name that they think is more Afrocentric, they might say, oh,
It goes
next,
bottom
just
to the
by
list.
looking at the name.
Absolutely.
So it's not that we want this. It's because we're still not a society that is what the Supreme Court wants it to be, colorblind. We're still not there.
It's I think it's a play on words, right? And I think that there are two kinds of people. There are people who are subconsciously racist and consciously racist. And right now, when we talk about what you just spoke about, just kind of just being in the different places and not hiring certain people because of certain things, some of them are just subconsciously, and I think it's our job to make sure that they know the benefits of having a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive workspace, right? A political system, just in opportunities in itself. One analogy that I give, and we're holding ourselves back as a nation, as a people, all together, because when you look at it, this is an analogy I used before, but I'll tell you this one. So when we look at what is it, Back to the Future movie, right? It was like 2020, we're going to be having flying cars. It's going to be great. It's going to be, we're going to be so futuristic. Here we are in 2023, or close to 2024, and the cars almost drive themselves, right? They almost drive, not quite.
Yeah.
Think that they have it, they almost do, but it's not quite there yet. And they're surely not flying. Although I did see an article not long ago that said they had the
That
first.
they're gonna have flying cars in the next few years.
Next few years, but it's still not in that 2022 timeline. And I believe that it could have been possible, but the reason why it's not possible is because that there is a little boy or girl in one of the underserved communities that may have not had the resources in order to get to the next level, in order to get to the college, in order to get into college, in order to really become an engineer and figure out exactly how to make these cars fly, right? So if we start to make the world more equitable, where this person gets the same education as this person and similar opportunities as the next person, everybody's able to find their own, and we're able to create a better world in its own. I mean, that in its own should inspire people to really think about what they're doing, and when they really make policies or bring down judgments that really hurt that ideal utopia that you spoke about before, when they bring down decisions on that, it's indirectly hurting themselves and the future. If they have kids, it's hurting their kids too. So it's also, I believe, an old mindset, right? Because when I look at it, there are some people nowadays that understand more. They understand that
well, Mitch McConnell is like 81 years old. I mean, Joe Biden is what? Gonna be 84 if he becomes reelected again. Like another 4 years, he's gonna be 84. These are still, a lot of them. Some of them have evolved, and some of them are still from the Jim Crow era. Everyone makes it seem like the 60s was like such a long time ago. It wasn't. Most of the people are still alive. And if they're not alive, their kids are still alive, and their kids were taught by the parents who said no blacks go into the bathrooms. This is not a colored bathroom. These people are still alive. So for the Supreme Court to sit there, especially Clarence Thomas, who we know got in, because affirmative action doesn't mean that I'm dumb, but I'm just coming in because I'm black. Affirmative action means that I am smart.
Yep.
And because you look at my color, you might not give me the opportunity. So it doesn't mean that you don't belong there. It just means that don't let the color of my skin stop me from being there.
Absolutely.
And that is what affirmative action is. People assume like, oh, you just got in because you were black. No, I'm smart. And I just happen to be black. But because I'm black, I might not have those opportunities because of people's prejudices against me. But anything I got in my life is because I was smart enough to get it. Like nothing was ever given to me. And my parents were both Haitian. My parents were immigrants, came here legally in the 70s, worked 2 or 3 jobs to get us the American dream. They bust their butt. They made sure we had the best education possible, because you know how Haitians are. It's all about education. And I'm not going to let the color of my skin stop me because I am smart. I do deserve the job. And because you feel uncomfortable working with me, or you feel like our lifestyles is not the same, then you're going to sit there and take an opportunity away from me and hire someone that you're comfortable with.
Yep.
That is why diversity matters.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And, it's interesting when we think about it, because it's almost like they're trying to wash something away, right? Whether it's in our education systems, whether they're almost
okay, really like DeSantis saying that. Okay, DeSantis saying that we benefited from being blacksmiths. Let me tell you something. I have a lot of Jewish friends. Their whole motto is you should never forget. You should never forget the Holocaust. The way that you don't repeat history is for you not to forget what happened in the past, so you don't repeat history. Regardless if
100%.
America is embarrassed about the choices that they made, the way they treated slaves, the lynchings, the killing of innocent people, the women were raped. That's why you see a lot of mulatto or there's different shades of skin. There was women that was actually raped. You know,
Absolutely.
how do you sit there? For us to be a stronger country, we have to accept this was our past so we can be better, so we can acknowledge, like, wow, we really went so far left or so far right. But the way that you're whitewashing it, oh, but the kids are going to feel guilty. Well, this is your history. You made the choice. You made
Listen,
the choice.
it's
So can you imagine Germany saying that? Well, we don't want to talk about the Holocaust. Well, this is your history. You had Jews come in and you burned them in the incinerator. And now you're going to tell Jews, well, you benefited from that? Like, oh, because you got reparations, you benefited from that because now you're in America. And for what? Like, that's ridiculous. Like, no one benefits
absolutely.
from being enslaved. And I know people say that, oh, other countries enslaved. We're not talking about other countries. We're talking
And
about
it wasn't
United States of America.
it wasn't like this. It wasn't like this. Those other people enslaved in other countries have they're still not. We're still dealing with slavery right now. When we look at these other countries, although yes, they may have slaves. We look at long time ago in Egypt, right? They had their slaves, but these are war criminals and prisoners of war. These are people we took from homes, right? We decide, or not us, not we. They decided to take people from their homes, kill multiple of them before they even get here. Now, once they're here, straight put them through work without pay, no matter what DeSantis wants to say, right? There wasn't beneficial. It was with they had no will in it. They did not want to be here, but to force to be here. And then we're looking at it multiple years later, and families of those people are still feeling it. Descendants of those families, whether they were, and then after, let's go back to the Reconstruction, and when they were trying to do better, right? And they went and they still killed multiple people, right? They drowned a bunch of different towns and really took what they would have considered
Like,
about
for
40 acres
example,
of
Lake
renewal.
Lanier
Yeah,
in Atlanta, Georgia. It was a black town that they flooded. There's actually a
absolutely.
town underneath that lake, and that's why a lot of people won't go swim in that lake, because they feel like the ancestors
Ancestors,
are
yeah,
coming in and saying no, not in this lake. Like, for us to be better as a people, we had to admit our wrongs to make this right.
absolutely, absolutely. And it's difficult because when we talk about I'm gonna tell you the secret, right? Often when we talk about making things right, it comes to like an economic thing, right? Because there's so much that has happened to this time where, I mean, I'm gonna plug the Urban League of Long Island, and I work at the State of Black Long
Yes.
Island right now. We're doing a 2023 equity report, and the information still embargoed, but there's a lot of inequities that are happening all over, right? And whatever you feel, whatever you see, is pretty much what it is, right? People usually say that, y'all feeling this, whatever. No. Now we had the data in 2017. Now we're reading up the data for 2023 to really show all of the different inequities, right? And when we look at that, that's something that stemmed from years ago, right? When we look at Levittown on Long Island, that our military came back and were able to create a middle class, right? And when you look at that middle class, there were no black people in that middle class. That's something that was systematically put in to really mess with some people, right? You're talking about people who were fighting for our country, coming back and just trying to live their lives and trying to make ends meet for their family, right? And not only can they not get jobs in certain places, they can't go into certain places. Now they can't purchase homes in places where they're giving them away so that they can create a middle class, right? So when we look at all of those things lined up together, it's like it's systematic, right? So when we look at the housing problem on Long Island, when we look at the inequities in the utilities, Newsday wrote a beautiful expose about just all of the high cost of living on Long Island.
On Long
right?
Island, expensive.
On Long Island, it's ridiculous,
It's
right?
real.
I'm gonna send you the link to that, and I want you to take a look. But when we talk about that, a lot of that is due to inequities, where a lot these people are in this school district looks very good, right? You know, everything is all great, and or they're gonna push like all of these not multifamily homes, but apartment complexes into this one area and really condense these areas. Like when we look at those different things, we start to see why, and it's stemming from where we come from, right? And it's systematically put in so that, you know, certain people stay in a certain way and certain people do certain things. But what we're doing with the equity report is that we're going to use this as an advocacy tool to show people, hey, exactly what we're talking about. This is it. Here's the data to show it.
We're not crazy.
We're not.
It is.
It's not crazy.
It is happening.
So we're calling all of our advocates, anybody who's really about the mission, about the movement of really making Long Island a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive place. Right, we're going to be bringing it to all of those people to make sure that they have a tool. So when they're speaking, people aren't just saying, you just feel that way. This is not how it is. And so that we can really, really make a difference. I'm hopeful on Long Island, though. I'm hopeful. During this report, we've been doing a lot of interviews, talking to a lot of stakeholders, and just the work that we're doing is phenomenal. It's slow work, but we come from something that's systematic. So we're gonna really break this down to get what we're supposed to get. And with all of the partners and people that are on Long Island right now, especially some of the young professionals that are doing some great things, it's only a couple years, hopefully not more than 10 years till we get to see some type of light at the end of the tunnel.
You're gonna see some type of light. You know why I'm hopeful? I love the kids. The kids.
But they don't play.
The new kids are coming. They know what it is. They have the iPad in their hand. They have a cell phone. You could sit there and ban books all you want. These kids they know how to spell. My kids know how to spell. So I have to really sit there and talk to them before they go on the iPad and go, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So I'm hopeful because the new kids who are coming up, I think they have more of an open mind. We play together. We listen to the same music. We're on TikTok doing the same dances, for goodness sakes.
And you know what? I think it's the environmental justice that's really showing some of that too. Because when we look at it, a lot of the people who are in power right now, 100 years from now, they're not going to be here. Right. And when we talk about the things we have to do with green energy and those spaces they're looking at this like, hey, this is going to be my world. Y'all about to get out of here. We really have to make a change. So they're really looking out after their own lives, their livelihoods. If in 30 to 40 years down the road, every other day the sky is on fire, you know what I'm saying? How are they supposed to survive and raise kids and create a legacy? And even people who talk about generational wealth, right? And I'm talking about just everybody and specifically. If we're talking about generational wealth, but we're not doing anything to protect this world that we live on, then what are we really doing? How's your wealth going to? It's gonna end at some point when this world decides to do whatever it wants to do to take care of itself. You know, so it's I also am very hopeful that the young people, the millennials, and so on. I believe we stopped there, right? I believe that's where.
No, but you know, there's a lot of older people who's evolved too.
No, absolutely.
There's a lot of older people that I know, that I meet in the street, that I say hi to at the supermarket. Hi, how you doing? I try to tell people what you see in TV is just a 1% segment of the population. I hate that they see. Like if they see Black kids, like I was watching something where Black kids were stealing Gucci stuff from the Gucci store in Los Angeles. And they go, oh my God, we're not all like that. Most Black people are just boring like me and Marvin Amazan. Like we want the best for our kids. We want them to go to the best schools. We want them to go to sports. We want them to live in good neighborhoods. We don't want to live in a place of crime. You know, but crime, no excuse for crime, but crime also stems with education. Crime also stems with generational trauma and traumas that came from slavery. Because think about it, a lot of African Americans, or most African Americans, built this country without getting paid. Okay, so imagine building this whole country, didn't get paid. You didn't have wealth to pass down. You didn't have the wealth. So when you look at people and say welfare, they're poor. If you come from nothing, you can't really pull up your bootstraps. You don't even have boots.
It's hard to do that. It's definitely hard.
It's hard.
And then you said something that really resonated with me too. It's like two things really. The media does a horrible job with us. We know it. they're quick to, and this is why I kind of started getting into this stuff, because I'm from Uniondale, and every time I'm looking on the news, it's like somebody gets shot, somebody gets stabbed. I'm like, well, I know a lot of like doctors, musicians, people doing amazing, phenomenal things, and I don't ever see it on the news.
See it on TV.
No, none of that. So, right, but that's something that's been stemmed in this country forever, right? That's the way that they make the general masses understand. Hey, maybe what we're doing to these people is right. The second thing comes down to that education part and their whole background and things like that. When you look at somebody who is at home, right, a young gentleman who has 4 brothers and sisters, mom and dad may be working 4 or 5, or I'm sorry, 2 or 3 jobs. They're not around, and still they're not able to get things done. God forbid anything happens, somebody gets sick. Now you got to become the number one supporter. How are you supposed to feed those 4 or 5 kids today, right? And then when we look at the jobs that they're able to get and how they're able to get those jobs, or if they have to go to school in order to get those jobs, so they can't provide for their family now because they're doing they're doing school full time and really trying to make something of themselves, it becomes harder. So what a lot of people do, and something that we have to work on within our community as well, is to have those support systems for those people where they don't need to go out in the streets and do something crazy, so the news don't capture you doing anything like that, right? Because we know if it's 1, they're gonna make it look like 10. So let's make sure that we have those support systems. We make our
what we need? We need the village back. We need the village back.
Yo, we were saying that the other day.
God.
Our village, we're too quick to turn the eye. My son is, what is he about to be? 17 months. I'm like, yo, we need more than just me, because when he's outside, if he's doing something, I would love for somebody to be like, yo, don't do that, this, that, and the third.
That's how we grew up.
I'm saying I grew
up in Brooklyn. It was the whole block. The whole block was our parents. Everyone had permission to discipline, and it was just like, yo, I don't care if you go tell your mother. Your mother and me are on the same page. What you're doing is wrong. And it was, so there was no like, I'm gonna tell my mother. And as I just miss the olden days on the block. I miss Fox 5 saying, "Parents, where your children are," because we were running the streets. We were outside, but it was a village. Like every adult was watching the other kids. There was no such thing as like kidnapping or you're afraid for your kids to come out. I miss the village. I miss us helping each other. Like sometimes I wave at my neighbors, but I don't even know. They could be killing people in that house. I've never been in that house.
Long Island is tough though. Long Island is tough. Especially in certain places, just a little, and the report shows it too, it's just segregated in some places and too condensed in others. So the places that is not segregated is the places that we aren't in, they're not as condensed, right? And the places that we are in, for the most part, it's very condensed.
So I'm gonna tell you what Long Island does, because I live in Long Island. I'm in a really good school district. It's the taxes. If they make the taxes this high, they know only a certain amount of people can come in that community.
It's like $20,000, $30,000 in taxes. Absolutely. Absolutely, a year.
And just taxes.
And some people don't even make that. Some people don't even make that in a year right now. So when we look at that, you're right. That's systematically put in to make sure that, hey, you can't go here, whether you wanted to or not. Whether I decided, hey, I want to move to, let's say, Garden City. Garden City is the one that I like saying. Garden City, right? Whether
Hempstead is like right there. Like every place in Long Island, I feel like either a highway or a train station cuts it, where you could go on one side and you're like, whoa, and you go on the other side, you're like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yep.
They're like right down the block from each other.
There's actually like that hill you go over, and you can feel like you're in another place. And the trees, the overpass with the trees. So it's definitely interesting. And when you make it so that you can't choose where you want to be and what type of resources you want to get or what type of opportunity is going to be there, that is what's systematically making this place less diverse, less equitable, and really increasing the problems that we have in this area, for sure.
So for our Optimum viewers, thank you for joining us, and we will be right back with Marvin Amazan. Thank you. Hi, everyone. We are back speaking to Marvin Amazing about diversity, equity, inclusion in and on Long Island. So we were just talking about property taxes. I feel like sometimes property taxes is like the secret redlining of
Mhm.
how it breaks down in Long Island. The higher property taxes, the better the school district. Because I guess more of those property taxes are going into the schools. So you have a chance of
Mhm.
a better education. Because I've had teachers say, in certain areas, poor areas, their salaries is not the same as if they went to an area where the property taxes are high. I was confused. I thought all teachers, because they were in the teachers union, got the same pay grade, but they said no, it depends of where you go
The
to school
school.
at.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, my cousin said education is not equal in this country. She's a principal, and it pisses her off, and that's why she believes in affirmative action, because it's not fair that I'm only able to afford this area, so I might get this education, but your kid might be brilliant, but you don't have the resources or the monies. And another thing, like with your salary too, it's not equal too. I don't know why we don't have equal salary, but depending on races, some races get more money than other races too. Like,
I'm gonna jump in
and I
now,
know
right
this for a
now. I'm
fact.
a.
I know
I'm gonna
this
need.
for a fact. I asked my friend, was like, how they used to say don't ask people their salaries, and we were stupid enough not to. I started asking. I'm like,
Yeah,
what? You make that much?
and
They
there's
don't
reports
want
on that
people
now
to
too.
know. There's a
They
report
definitely have
about that,
reports
huh?
on that. Yeah, we'll that's going to be in the report. That's one of the biggest things where we even realize no matter I'll get this little tidbit away, right?
Go
No matter
ahead.
what type of education level that you have, really, whether you have a if two people have the same degree, one type of person makes way more money than the other type of person,
I
easily,
knew it. I knew it.
easily.
One of my
So it's
cousins is just found this out. She was just like, someone makes $150 an hour. I only make 100, and we do
hmm
the same thing. Oh God, I can't believe I said
absolutely.
150. She's a PA, by the way, so don't get it. Don't be like, who makes $150 an hour? But she just found out she does the same job, and because of the different color of the skin, this person gets $50 more than her an hour. So that person is
Absolutely.
able to afford more. That person is able to live in high tax bracket community versus her, because she's just like, well, I don't even make that much after taxes.
Yep.
I don't even make that much. That's a problem.
Absolutely is. Absolutely
That
is. 100%. 100% of the way. And that's
okay. This is how I
again. I hate
feel.
to
You
go
know how
ahead.
the 14th Amendment said, I think it says everyone is equal. I think we need to come to this groove that salaries should be equal. Just everything should be equal across the. Everything should just be transparent. If you
It's
have
gonna be
X amount
tough.
of
We live
years
in
and
a
you do this pay,
capitalism society.
no,
It's
but
gonna be
it's
so
everything is equal though.
hard.
If everything is equal, you have to do everything equal. You can't just say it. Or how Supreme Court said, we envision colorblind, but you know it ain't colorblind. You know
But
okay, it's great that you envision it, but you know it ain't for real in real life. You know what I mean? So it's just like if the 14th Amendment says everyone is created equal, that means every human is created equal. Doesn't matter the color of my skin, doesn't matter my gender. Even women get paid less than men. There's a gender inequity too. So everyone should just be equal across the board. This has nothing to do with capitalism. We're not saying you can't be capitalistic. We're just saying that everyone should just be equal. Pay should be
but
equal. I
it's
think
hard to
sentences
do
should be
that in the
equal too.
capitalism world. It's hard.
I think sentences should be equal too. Like the judges shouldn't have. Oh, okay, they did this same as this. Okay, you get 10. You get 10. But sometimes if you're black or a colored person, you might get more years
Absolutely.
than someone is white. So when Trump talks about there's two systems, I was like, where you been, Trump? You remember how Trump says there's two systems? There's two
Yeah.
systems. Like Joe Biden is not getting in trouble, but I'm getting in trouble. So you not know America is whoever's
How's
in
it
power.
feel?
Don't get in trouble.
How does it
Whoever's
feel?
in
How does it
power.
feel?
How does it feel? Whoever is in power doesn't get in trouble. Of course, Joe Biden and his crew are looking out for each other. He's the one that's in power right now. So imagine how Black people feel because we're not in power.
Exactly.
So when I hear the Sean Hannitys, the Bill O'Reillys talk about equal justice for Trump and Joe Biden, I'm like, yo, this is what we've been saying for a long time. We don't even get that.
they don't look at us the same. So our problems are not the same as their problems, right? So we got to work harder to make sure that, and it's interesting now. We have to make harder to connect those dots. So when he says something like that, somebody needs to be slick enough or quick enough to make sure that he realizes what he's saying, right? And this brings me to another good point. It's that I went to the National Urban League conferences this past week, and
Last weekend.
this past weekend, yeah, one of the people were speaking about just kind of how it was a county attorney, young brother, I believe maybe early 30s, and he was just talking about how he's in certain places in Houston, Texas, and he's in these courtrooms, and he's telling it how it is, right? So much so that somebody was like, "Oh, you could just be talking to these white people, however." Right, and it's not necessarily that he was talking, let's say, radically or anything like that, but he was talking from a place of, I deserve respect, right? I've gone through the same schools you've gone through. I've done the same amount of work you've done. You best respect me, if not for just what I am. And he just made another point of saying that, in all of the spaces that we're in, regardless of where we're at or what we're doing, we must continue to advocate for ourselves. One, right? No matter if it's racist, call it out and say it, right? No matter what, because at the end of the day, if they're going to be treating you like that in the workspace, how are they going to be treating everybody else that they don't have to see every day, right? If they see somebody on the road, how are they treating that person? And that's going to be trickling down to their family, trickling down to their friends, and trickling down to their communities. So regardless if you're in the street, right? Regardless if you're in the hospital, the surgery room, the operation room, regardless if you're in the schools, if you're able to speak up, really speak up and advocate for yourself, because at the end of the day, it's going to push the needle that much further.
And you know what? As a black woman, that's how I feel. When I stand for myself, I'm called an angry black woman. I'm like, hold up. But when someone else does it, oh, they're advocating for themselves. When I do it, or someone, oh, you're being angry because I'm advocating for myself. I'm calling a spade a spade. Now you're telling me I'm being angry. So this is like the labels that come on. I say, you know what? At the end of the day, you know what I tell my children? Just be educated, where you can speak how you feel, where they can understand. Don't raise your voice. Just speak how you feel intelligently, where they can understand. I know what you're going to say.
Absolutely. And I think that angry black woman thing, I think, is something that they use to try to break it down, right? It's like, you know exactly what we're doing. You know it, but nobody wants to fit into that angry black woman stereotype, right? So what do we do? Instead of really speaking, sometimes we tend to, no, go ahead. You don't have to yell, like you said. You don't have to yell, you can explain yourself so delicately, so righteously, that they're gonna understand exactly what you're talking about, right? And you'll get that point across. So, and if they call you angry black woman from then on, then they're hurt. They're hurt because they understand what you're trying to tell them. So I often look at situations like that, and if somebody's saying that to somebody, I tell them to go a little harder, because you're getting somewhere. You're doing something, and you're shaking things up, right? And we need a lot of movers and shakers right now in order to get these things done. There's no more of a time where we can kind of sit back. Somebody said it best. If it's not broke, break it. It's the time. Today, it's time now for us to not sit back and wait for it to be done for us, but for us to figure out a way to make sure that we get it done, and make sure that people know that we're doing it and know that we're moving.
So what do you think is going to happen with DEI? What do you think is going to happen? Because all these corporations have a DEI department, diversity, equity, inclusion. So what do you think is going to happen?
I think it's, as long as we keep strong on it, right, and showing that it's working and progressing and getting into those doors, I'm just going to stay there. They can try to put this in and say that they can either do it or they don't, right? And if they're doing it and they're doing it for the wrong reasons, then you're still helping us out anyway, because at the end of the day, you're allowing us in the doors, right? You're allowing us in the doors, and it's up to us, really, once we get through those doors, to make sure that we reach back and we pick somebody else up and bring them past those doors. right? So when we talk about just continuing to diversify, it's going to happen because this world is diversified. When we talk about continuing
But
to make it more
America is
equitable,
diversified. America is diversified.
and
How are you
it's
going
getting
to
more and
stop
more.
it?
We're having exactly.
And
There's no way of that.
interracial marriages are getting more and more.
You know, so it's when we say diversity and you're talking about and you're looking at it as a negative thing, I'm looking at you a little weird because it's like this, we're just getting more diverse. No matter what you say, we're just getting more diverse. And if we're getting more diverse and we're getting less equitable, then where's all the money going? And what are we doing with the money?
The
You
top
know, so
1%.
it's and then so what do you expect this? What do you expect this world to look like? All of the places around to be completely nothing, like wilderness and just craziness, and one place to be.
I'm going to give you a theory. I really don't think it's, I know this sounds I don't think it's racism more than it's social economics. I think, look at my dog right here. Look at my
Oh yeah, that's a cute one. That's a cute one.
Oh yeah, sorry. The reason I say I think it's more social economics because I think like the higher you go up in your pay scale, for some reason I think they see green. They see green. Like think about the Michael Jordans, the LeBrons, the Beyoncés, the Jay-Z's. Do you think they experience racism as they're climbing up in the ladder and I'm a billionaire, you're a billionaire?
I think so. You know, it's messed.
Really?
I think it's that messed up. I think it's that messed up because there's always that connotation that, hey, you're a rapper, or you played basketball, you
you're a
did
rapper
this,
and
you
music
did
and
that,
basketball.
and sometimes when you start to rub elbows with different people, it's supposed to create more opportunity, right? You speak, I speak. Oh, here's the mutual connections. Here's how we can help each other. One hand washes the other kind of situation. But if somebody genuinely doesn't like you or genuinely doesn't understand what you're trying to do, then it becomes to the point where it's like no matter what you do, no matter what you say, this is how they're going to be looking at it, and they're not going to want to work with you. So I think that they still, some of them still feel that same racism or stereotyping no matter how much money you get. And I think it's I'm hopeful that the further that they get there, the more opportunities that will come for the next people, right? So Jay-Z becoming a billionaire opened it up for more people to become billionaires, right? Regardless of what he went through, what struggles he hit. He actually wrote it down in his 444 album, right? So he gave us another blueprint in order to the references, right? He gave us a blueprint in order to move forward, right? So he got there. He's saying here, he reached back. He did exactly what he was supposed to do, regardless of what doors were shut off to him or what opportunities he may have missed out on because people did not like the color of his skin or whatever it was, how he walked, how he talked, or however they felt. He still reached back and was able to articulate it to the people who wanted to listen. Hey, regardless of what you do, here's how you still get it, right? So we got to do a better job of once we're getting there. You're right, not looking away from our communities, but really helping back. And I think like LeBron James is doing a good job. I wish Mike would do a little bit more. There are a lot of people doing some phenomenal things, but I think it could be on a bigger scale. And I think that they can also use their platforms to help out a lot of the missions and the causes that are happening right now.
And the reason I like diversity is just simply this: you get to find out that what you thought was scary wasn't scary, right? Like you get to find out that, oh, you know what? I had a great experience with this Black girl. They're not all like that. I think through experience, the prejudice might lessen, and that's why the younger generations are getting it more than the older generation, because the younger generations are dealing with all different types of cultures. As Indians, Asians, Black, Spanish, this religion, Hindu, Muslim, and they all get to know, like, oh, I go to school with him, he's cool, like, so I think it's more of the older generation who are still stuck in their ways, who still kind of control and still have power of the whole situation, that the society is still in the stagnant place where America is still dealing with race. Like, I'm like, we are in 2023. I cannot believe that we are still dealing with race. It's like, can we just say we're all humans? Can we just say, okay, we're all human beings? And
I'm
there's
actually
bad apples everywhere?
I'm gonna double down on something real quick because sometimes when we talk about diversity, we typically talk about like race, right? But when the word diversity means, a lot of different kind of people. So it's like a lot of different sexes, a lot of different ages, a lot of different colors, right? So in order for
And
us to make
gender,
things,
when you said gender,
gender,
you said sexist,
we,
yes.
we gotta we gotta make sure that at this table has somebody from this generation, that generation, somebody of this persuasion, somebody, of all different kinds of persuasions, because that's going to help us solve problems in a very different way. Right now, there's only a group of people who are trying to solve problems of different people. But if we really bring everybody, I'm saying, whatever you are, whatever you choose to be in your life, but a different person from every one of those persuasions to the table, then we'll be a better nation.
Like I give an example. Like it was a corporate meeting, all white men doing a product on a woman's device. Because there wasn't a woman in there, they forgot certain things to put on this device because they're men. They only have this way of thinking. That's why I like diversity, because you get to think outside the box. You get different people in
Yes.
the room to get different ideas to make whatever it is better than it was before. Because you get different experiences. You get this person went through this worse. This person, when it's homogeneous, like I told you, like the crayon box, one color, it gets boring. It just colors
Um,
white. It
I
colors
really like that
white.
analogy. I really like that one. I really like that one. I'm gonna
So
use
you can
that one.
use
I'm
it.
gonna take
You
that
can
one.
use
All
it.
right.
You can
All right,
use
cool.
it. You can
Because
use
it
it.
makes so much sense, and it's such a creative way to really illustrate that in somebody's mind, right? Whether it's if you opened up the crayon box and this is one white crayon, try writing
Can
on a
you
white
imagine
piece of paper with the red.
264 white crayons? You remember the big box?
Yeah, I
Can
know
you
with the
imagine if
sharpener.
all the
Yeah,
crayons were 264? Do you know what diversity is? Out of 264, they put two black crayons in there. They put
it's
two
crazy.
black crayons in there, and everyone's like, no, no, there's two crayons in there.
It's
Meanwhile,
it's
262 crayons are all white.
it's
I find this funny. Let me tell you something. I love all people. I love humans. I judge people of how they actually treat me. So I don't really care what color they are, what religion they are. It's how they treat me, how they treat my babies. So I just want everyone to have a fighting chance, and I want everyone to have an open mind and not feel that you see this color and you automatically think a certain way, or you see this religion, or you see this sex, or this gender, and everyone gets these perceptions in their mind. I think everyone should have a chance. And then that means every single person on this earth should have a chance to prove themselves individually, not the group, not because the
Mhm.
group messes, not one person in the group messes up. Now it's like the whole group. That's an individual person. That's why we have one fingerprint. Everyone has their own
Absolutely.
fingerprint because I am different from you. You are different from me. So before we leave, let's promote the diversity thing that's going on at Sag Harbor this weekend, because this is going to
Oh
be shown
yeah.
on. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's one of our Urban League's premier events going to be happening at the Sag Harbor. Historical background behind Sag Harbor was that, we as Black people, we don't have any places to vacation. So during the summertime, Sag Harbor was one of the places that, we went to escape from different things. So, to commemorate that, we're going to be going out there. We do it every year. This year, we're celebrating the HBCUs. We have a couple of guests as well that should be there. So it should be a very good lively event. I'm excited to go.
It's this weekend. It's on August 5th. This weekend, Sag Harbor. Go to the Urban League website of Long Island or State of Black Long Island to get your tickets. Please support a good cause, and everyone is welcome. Am I correct,
Absolutely. And
Mr.
I'm going to
Mel?
plug, oh, yeah, Urban League of Long
Yeah.
Island.org. And I'm going to also plug our equity report, because if we have anybody out there who is doing, the good work, the movement work, we want to make sure we have a lot of people's eyes on this information so that you can use it in any way that you can. So on September 18th, we'll be releasing a report. So please, please, please make sure if you are out, just follow us on the website,
Give us the
urbanleaguelongisland.org.
handles. Give us the handles. Give us the handles. We have 1
State
minute
of
left.
Black Long Island, and we have the Urban League Long Island on Instagram as well. So please, yes, follow us and stay up to date on all of our on the movement.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Amazing, for joining. I'm proud of you, bro. I'm giving you cigars. I'm so proud of you. And I am hopeful just like you. I'm because we have babies, so we have no choice but to hope.
Yeah, not at all, not at all. And we're doing
Yeah.
everything we can to make sure we change that. So, but thank you again for
Yeah.
having me on your show.
Thank you for coming and bye everyone. Bye.